I'm like grumpy. I'm not sure I want to read smut with werewolves. Maybe I do. It's appalling. Okay, pop off, queen, like you get it. Hello, book besties. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Delaney if you are new here, and we are back with another weekly reading vlog, and this one has a fun theme that I'm a little bit scared about, but we're gonna see how it goes. So for this whole week, I'm going to be reading books that are outside of my comfort zone. So I am a romance reader, I'm a thriller reader, and I'm a literary fiction reader, and pretty much anything outside of those three genres is a little scary to me. So I have a few books on my radar, two in particular that I know I really want to get to this week, and then I have a couple that are kind of on my radar, up in the air, that I want to almost mood read through the week and see which one sounds most appealing. They all terrify me, so we're gonna see just kind of which sticks out and how this goes. Who knows? Maybe I'll find a new favorite genre, new favorite book, or I will torture myself for an entire week. It could go either way. The entire premise of this video was actually prompted by someone special in my life got me a gift for when I got to 100K on TikTok, which was quite a while ago now, and it was his favorite book. So he got me this and he's like, you need to add this to your shelf. It's my favorite book. It is not a book that I would normally pick up, but ever since then he's been hounding me. Have you read it yet? Have you read it yet? Have you read it yet? I need to be able to say yes. I need to be able to prove him wrong when he comes in all high and mighty like, have you read the book yet? And I can be like, yeah, actually I did. So I am going to be incorporating that one into this video, but we're not starting with that one because I'm just not there yet. I know. I've been putting it off since I think it was February that I hit 100K. So it is now October. Honestly, I put it off for this long. What's another couple of days at this point? So not the one we're going to be starting with, but I will let you know. You'll probably be able to tell when I get to that one because it's definitely outside of my comfort zone, but that's the whole point of the video. The one that I do want to start with is a genre I haven't read since I was probably like 8 years old, and that is a graphic novel, and that is Heartstopper. So I've heard amazing things about this series, mainly from Sarah Caroli here on YouTube. She is like the book queen. I know you all know her. I have been tempted to read this ever since I saw her reading this, but definitely not a format that I'm used to. I used to read dork diaries as a kid. Like I was a dork diary. I was obsessed. Every time I would go to the store with my mom and I would see a new Dork Diaries book, that poor woman knew that she was busting out the credit card because I would not leave her alone about it. Like, bless her soul, she just fed my Dork Diaries addiction because I was truly obsessed with the series. So I know I have it in me to enjoy graphic novels. It's almost like comic book style. And I also feel like it's going to be a really quick read because of that. Like it is mainly pictures. I don't know. Could be really weird for my brain to shift gears from like reading to looking. I don't know if that makes sense, but we're gonna see how it goes. I actually like have to go. Like right now I have a client call in 2 minutes, so I need to go get my computer and like get set up for that. So I need to run, but I wanted to hop on and intro the video because I'm hoping to bust into Heartstopper tonight and kick off this video and then read throughout the weekend and into next week some books that are outside of my comfort zone. We're going to push the limits and push myself to grow and read things that I'm not used to. We're going to see how it goes. So I will take you along with me and I will update you when I have an update. Hello, we are back. I have finished wrong book and wrong direction. I have finished Heartstopper. I read this in probably like an hour and a half, the entire book. It was amazing. The second I like got into the format, I flew through this. I thought the characters were so lovable. I just like wanted to give them a hug. Do you know what I mean? Like they're so endearing and I thoroughly enjoyed this. I want to collect the rest of the Heartstopper series. I think there's 6 books out. I know there's quite a few, so slowly but surely I'm going to hopefully continue to add to my collection. This was really sweet. I loved the friendships. I loved the little family dynamics. I loved their connection and their relationship. This is basically about a boy who is openly gay in high school and he has been bullied for it. He's been made fun of. Like people are just so nasty to him. And he ends up making friends with another guy who is straight or known to be straight, and they start to form a bond and form a connection. So Charlie, the male main character who is openly gay, he's just kind of like soft and a sweetheart, and he just is like, you just want to hug him. He just is like such a gentle soul. And then we have Nick, who is more of like the jock, tough rugby player. And he is the one who is like thought to be straight, but ends up forming a bond with Charlie. The bullying in this book made me want to cry. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand how people can be so hateful and like, I didn't expect to be connected to a character that like I spent not even 300 pages with. And in this format, I didn't expect to be as invested in the book as I was, but I love them. I love them so much in the way that like, you just want to take care of them. Like I want to like invite them over for dinner and cook them a home cooked meal. Like that's the vibe. They are so lovable. They're so endearing. I'm just rooting for them and I want to see how their story continues. We kind of left off on a cliffhanger, so I need to get my hands on book 2. Now we're moving into the book that actually prompted this entire video, the book that I was gifted for 100K and I've been putting off and being questioned about. I'm going to read it. It's Extreme Ownership. If you're on this channel, you are probably like, Delaney, what the heck? This does not look like your type of book. That's the whole point. That is the whole point. So this is a leadership book, I'm pretty sure, and written by 2 Navy SEALs. And they talk about their experiences in the Navy. And I believe they apply them to business and leadership, which is good. I am a 2-time entrepreneur. So like I can apply this to business structure. One thing I will say, the font is freaking tiny. Like someone get me a magnifying glass because holy wow. So I have downloaded on my Kindle and I am next in line for the audiobook at the library. I'm hoping to get the audiobook because I know it's narrated by them. So I think that would be better, is to like hear them tell their own stories. I usually like consuming nonfiction in audiobook format. I don't know why. So that's my hope, is that I can get the audiobook, but if not, I will be reading on my Kindle because I'm glad I have this for my shelf, but wowza. So that's the next book in this. And then I think I know what book 3 is going to be, but we're going to take it one thing at a time. I'm very excited for book 3. If I stick to what I think it's going to be, it's a genre that I have struggled with. If you know, you know. But we'll get there when we get there. This is going to be my next book. I actually have to go. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be in a session in 1 minute. So I gotta go. My time management skills are just atrocious these days. I'm gonna go, but finished Heartstopper, starting Extreme Ownership, and very excited for the potential 3rd book in this video, but I needed to update you before I got too far ahead of myself and forgot to update the vlog. So that's where we're at. I will talk to you with an update hopefully soon. Fingers crossed the library pulls through and I get that audiobook because I'm gonna need it. Okay, bye. Hello, I'm back with an update. I have started Extreme Ownership, which I said in the last clip has been a long time coming. I've been putting this off since February, I think it was, and we're finally doing it. And I have to say, it feels good to finally be tackling something that I've been putting off and pushing back like over and over and over again. We're doing it. Thankfully, the audiobook came through at the library, so I was able to check out the audiobook this morning, and I've been sitting here doing my reading journal and listening to the audiobook of this, and I am, let me look. I am on chapter 3 and I'm 26% of the way through the book. So we're making good progress. That's about 2 hours worth of the audiobook. And I've just been doing my reading journal, which like, I have to show you guys this because it's appalling. I had to do my September spread. It's like mid-October and I never did September spread. I don't even want to show you. Can we take a second for the leaf? Yeah, honestly, I have no words for it. Honestly, I tried. That's so funny. It's that middle leaf on the bottom that really gets me. I don't even know what I was going for. Like, that is why we don't wing it. I'm a reader, not an artist. So that is happening. And I'm working my way through Extreme Ownership, and I have a couple of like little notes that I've made in my phone because I wanted to talk about them. First of all, I'm reading Extreme Ownership at the same time I'm reading The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros, which is a heartbreaking military book. And so I think reading Extreme Ownership, which is like Navy SEALs telling their stories, while reading a fictional military book is making it feel more, I don't know the word. What's the word? Applicable? Relatable? making it feel more personal, relational. I don't know. I feel like there's a million different words and none of them are the word that I want, but hopefully you know what I'm saying. I feel like this book is a little bit redundant as of now. It's like the format is very similar every single chapter, which I think is standard with self-help or like fiction or nonfiction books in general, which is all that I used to read. Like I was a self-help, self-improvement guru back in my glory days, and I think I almost like overdid it on self-help books because it got to the point where I was getting like annoyed with the advice that I was actively seeking. I don't know. It like became self-sabotage instead of being self-help because it was all I was consuming. You obviously always want to be growing and evolving and improving, but I think just like constantly consuming that with no room for joy or grace really turned me off of nonfiction for a while, specifically like motivational self-helpy books. So getting back into the format is a little bit difficult for me because like I read vast majority fiction. Like if I'm reading nonfiction, it's normally memoirs. And so it's just different. It's just different, not entirely new to me, but different from what I'm used to in my recent days. This book, basically, to give like the premise, is about ownership. Obviously, it's about like taking ownership, taking responsibility, being a leader, and it's essentially these two Navy SEALs telling their stories from their time in the Navy and applying it to various business models. So like we have messages that they've learned being a leader in the past that they now can apply to like help businesses become successful, if that makes sense. So like chapter 1 was, I think, like how to embrace ownership and like the difference between ownership and accountability versus like placing blame somewhere. It was just kind of like about ownership as a whole. Chapter 2 was basically about how there's no bad teams, there's just bad leaders, and very much about like how the environment is a direct reflection of the leader, or like who's at the top of the environment, if that makes sense. So that was an interesting chapter. I feel like I took notes on chapter 2. Yeah, there was a quote where he said that he could have yelled a lot less and encouraged more. And that reminded me of honestly anything, like training a dog, being a parent, being a leader, being a family member, a friend, just being a human. Like I think when we approach from encouragement and like positive reinforcement rather than like degrading someone or like coming at them aggressively, placing blame, those types of things, I think you actually get such a better outcome where like your instinct is like if you go hard on someone and you're harsh on someone, you're going to like scare them into doing what you want them to do. But the reverse is often more true, where like if you can build a positive environment and encourage them, then you get the result you're looking for. I don't know. They're also saying something similar about like when expectations aren't met within a team, like not to degrade someone for their work, but to just like maintain the expectation and like keep having them redo it until the expectation is met. And like from that, they will learn more like how to rise to the occasion and meet the expectations, rather than if you were to just like scold them and make them like belittle them. I don't know. This feels very much like an assembly you would go to in high school. And like, you know, when you left those like motivational speakers in high school and you're like, I'm gonna change the world. Like I feel so motivated. That's kind of how this book is feeling. Like it's good. I'm not as disinterested as I thought I would be. And I don't want that to be taken the wrong way. It's just not a book that I would like choose to pick up willingly. That's not a book I would see at Barnes & Noble and be like, I want that. But I'm having a decent time. I mean, I think the messages are good and the stories are interesting, and I'm enjoying the audiobook because it's actually told by the two authors of the book. So definitely very grateful that the audiobook came through. Otherwise, I think I would really be struggling. But that's where we're at. So summary of this clip is I can really draw some beautiful leaves. And if you ever need a drawing of like fall foliage, you should call me, because apparently that is a secret gift that I didn't know I had. And I'm making progress through extreme ownership. That's really all you need to know. All right, but that is it for now. I think I'm gonna go for a walk, take my dog for a walk, and listen to a little bit more of the I keep wanting to call it a podcast. It feels like a podcast, you know? It feels like a podcast that I would listen to. I guess podcasts and audiobooks aren't that different. I'm gonna go for a walk and listen to more of some of the, I'm going to go for a walk and listen to more of the audiobook, and I'll touch base with you later today, tomorrow, 2 days, whoever knows. I'll talk to you soon. All right, besties, we are back with an update. I finished book 2 in this video, and that was Extreme Ownership. So I think I talked the last time, I don't remember where I was at. I think I was pretty early on, like chapter 2 or something. And every chapter from then on is just formatted basically the same way. So it's like a story from the time in the Navy, and then kind of like the main takeaways or life lessons, and then how that applies to business, leadership, all the things. Great messaging in this book. I mean, I agree with most of the principles. The storytelling was really interesting, and like drawing the connections I think was interesting between military and then like business and leadership. I also feel like these lessons apply to like parenthood, relationships, family relationships, friendships, just dealing with humans in general. So overall, like, it was enjoyable. It was a good read. It had really great points at times, and yeah, I read it. I mean, I don't know if it's a book that I would like shout from the rooftops recommend, but I'm not mad that I read it. You know what I mean? If you follow me, you know that I don't rate poetry, memoir, or nonfiction, and I know that irritates some people because they're like, I just want to start reading for nonfiction, but it's so different from fiction that it's like you can't even put them on the same scale. I don't know. It just feels weird and really hard to rate nonfiction. So no star rating, but I will say, like, there are great messages, great themes. The writing style was a little bit difficult for me, and it felt a little bit redundant, a little bit repetitive at times, but it is what it is. I read it, we're done. And now we get to pick our next book, and I have quite a few options here to choose from. Looking in like the viewfinder, what is that? It's definitely a package that's just laying on the floor back there. I think I ordered like a vest or something. I don't know. Book room is always a mess, let's be real. So I collected a variety of books that were a little bit out of my comfort zone that have been on my TBR for a really long time. And we're gonna go through them, and I don't know entirely which one I want to pick. I have like 2 that I'm kind of leaning towards, and we're gonna see like where the day takes me, because I definitely want to pick up a book. I'm in like a reading mood, and I just finished Keeping 13. I was in the middle of 4 books at once. It was a lot. But I just finished Extreme Ownership, and then I finished Keeping 13 both yesterday. So now I feel like I have a little bit more mental space to read another book and probably close out this vlog. So our contenders, I have Dearest. This was a book of the month pick that I picked in October, so this past month. And this is a horror book, and I don't really read horror. I read thriller and mystery and like those types of things, but horror is like next level dark. This says, a new mom in need of help opens the door to her long estranged mother only to invite something much darker inside. I'm not really feeling this. The only reason I thought of putting this on my list is 1, 2 of the girls that I'm really close with in my Patreon book club are reading this book, and I was like, I kind of have a little bit of FOMO, like I want to know what they're talking about. And number 2, it's October. So I feel like if I were going to read horror, it's a good month for it. But I honestly am just not feeling drawn to this. I really don't want to put myself in a slump just for the sake of a video, so probably not that one. I don't know. My hair has been drying so funny over here. I get like this one piece in the front that sticks straight, and then I get like this wing. Nice. Okay, next book is Lovely War, and this is not necessarily like a genre that I'm like opposed to reading. It's historical fiction. It's like young adult historical fiction romance, I believe, but the book itself intimidates me because it's very long, very thick, and historical fiction's just heavier. I think all I've read historical fiction wise is Kristen Hanna, honestly. I don't know. This book just feels a little bit out of my comfort zone. So it's also a book that's been on my TBR for like the past 3 months, and I haven't gotten to it. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Similarly, I have Addie LaRue, but I was thinking of reading this in this video, but I think I'm going to include it in a future vlog that I actually just started filming for. So I think maybe not Addie LaRue. I had it in this stack, but I think I'm going to say no. Stay tuned though, because I will be reading it in probably the next vlog that comes out. Then I have Bride, and I have never read an Allie Hazelwood book, actually, which might surprise a lot of people. She writes a lot of STEM romances, like women in STEM, very sciencey, and I just haven't really felt compelled to pick up any of her books. This one is quite different, however, and way out of my comfort zone. I'm pretty sure this is a vampire werewolf romance, and I've heard it's like super smutty. Yeah, a vampire bride and an alpha werewolf. I saw a TikTok and someone was like, I learned way more about werewolf anatomy than I ever needed to know, and that scares me a little bit. I'm not sure I want to read smut with werewolves. Maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe I do. Oh. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's smutty. Yep. Then I have Today, Tonight, Tomorrow. This is a young adult book, and I was thinking about young adult romances, and I was like, I've read The Summer of Broken Rules, better than the movies, and I think that's maybe all the young adult that I've ever read. I'm not a fan of young adult. Like, I just don't connect to it. I don't know. There's something about like college I can kind of do, like college romances. High school, I just don't connect to the romances. But Seattle is a huge part of this book, and I'm a Pacific Northwest girly. I am from the Seattle area, and like I know the entire story is like them running around Seattle, I believe. So I think that could be really fun to read. So this is a book that I've been wanting to get to. Maybe this is a good time to get to this book. This is one of the top contenders, I'm not gonna lie. The last option is Caravel or Caravel. I'm pretty sure this is like a carnival fantasy. Like it is kind of magical, whimsical. I don't know. All I know about this is like the first book in the series that interconnects with the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. And I really want to read that trilogy, but I want to read this series first. I am not a fantasy girl. I try so hard to be a fantasy girl. I've liked some that I've read, but overall fantasy has been really difficult for me to get into. So this is definitely outside of my comfort zone and another top contender. I would say the three top contenders, probably these three: Bride, Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, and Caravel. I really need to learn how to say it. But yeah, I guess I could have just decided and we didn't have to go through all those books together, but it's done now. So I will update you when I decide what book I want to pick up. I'm leaning towards one of these three, but we shall see where it goes. Hello, it's a couple hours later. I have just been rotting on the couch and reading and being lazy all day. I am so grumpy. Like, I am in the worst mood, and so I'm like, I'll just like not subject anyone to my mood right now. I need to just like put my phone across the house and not talk to anybody and just like be by myself with my grumpiness. So that's what's been going on, but I actually read an entire book, and I want to just briefly update. I read the second Heartstopper book, so I read the first one at the beginning of this video, and then one of you actually sent me the second one off my wish list, and I read that today just in one sitting. I honestly didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. I felt like this one was a little more surface level, I think. I don't know. I love seeing the like development of Nick, but the book as a whole just felt a little, I don't know, it didn't impact me as much. I felt a little bit less meaningful, impactful, emotional, but it was still really cute. I gave it 3 stars, so not a huge update. I wasn't planning on this being a part of the video whatsoever, but I figured since I read the first one earlier, I would just update you that I read the second one. And I did decide what book we're going to read for the second part of this video, and that is Today, Tonight, Tomorrow. I actually started this one as well. I'm telling you, like, I've just been sitting on my couch stewing in my bad mood and reading books to get me through it. I don't know. I just like can't shake it. Maybe I need a snack or like to get out of the house or get some fresh air or something. I'm like grumpy, but it has made for a good reading day because there's nothing else that I want to do. But anyways, I've made some decent progress through this. I would say I am reading it partially on my Kindle. I think I was on page 158, and there is 360 something, 370, so like just under halfway. I'm really enjoying it so far. So basically this is about 2 high school seniors, and again, don't normally connect to high school romances. I feel like they're a little bit too young for me. I don't normally enjoy them, but I'm really invested in this one. We have 2 high school seniors. We have Rowan and Neil, and they are like total academic rivals, like complete academic rivals. And they are both vying for the spot of like valedictorian at the end of the year. So we start getting just Rowan's point of view, and I think as of now, that's all we've gotten is Rowan's point of view. But they've like just all through high school, they've had like competitions. They're always trying to beat each other out for the first place. They are like the epitome of academic rivals. And so they have their final day of school, and there's this fun, in my high school, we called it Senior Assassin, but it's like a fun senior game where you are like have a target that you're going after. But in their game, they have a scavenger hunt around the city of Seattle. They have to go to like all these different clues and like take a picture and send it to the moderators. And they have a target. So like while they're on the scavenger hunt, they're also hunting their target. And whoever is the last one standing wins a prize of like $5,000 or something. So that's kind of the premise of this so far. Rowan and Neil are like learning more about each other and learning that they actually don't hate each other as much as they thought they did. I really am connecting to the female main character. She is like a romance reader through and through. And this is the ultimate book for book lovers. There's so many lines in this book that you're like, yes, like being judged for being a romance reader, being judged for being a book lover. People like writing off romance as being like fluffy or whatever people say about romance books. There's just such a stigma around it. Yeah, and like Neil and Rowan have this rivalry that started when they both wrote an essay about their favorite book, and she wrote about a romance book and he wrote about a classic, and he won. So she like has this, she has a quote at the very beginning. She says, in his mind, the only thing you're supposed to feel while reading a book is a sense of superiority. He's the kind of person who believes all real literature has already been written by dead white men. If he could, he'd bring Hemingway back to life for one last cocktail, smoke a cigar with Fitzgerald, and dissect the nature of human existence with Steinbeck. I don't know. There's just so many funny quotes about like classic literature and how it's actually quite problematic at times. Strong, powerful woman vibes, feminism. There's also a lot of representation in this book, I feel like. It's doing a really great job, in my opinion, of kind of covering all the topics in a really like lighthearted and humorous way. I'm enjoying my time so far. I feel like this could be like a 1 or 2 sitting read. As I said, like I sat down and I read an entire book and then like a third to a half of this book. Gonna be a super quick read, which I feel like is standard for YA books. The writing style is just a little bit easier to get through. But as of now, I'm thoroughly enjoying my time. I will update you when I know more. I also will say, being from Seattle, if you know the city of Seattle whatsoever, this is so fun. Like the little tidbits of like the Fremont Troll or like the original Starbucks or like just Seattle core. Like if you are a Pacific Northwester, if you know the city of Seattle, there's so many things written about Seattle and like downtown Seattle and landmarks, and there's a joke about like find someone with an umbrella because we all know like a Seattle local doesn't use an umbrella. It's fun. It's really, really fun. It's hitting like being a book lover and being from Seattle. It's really just like easy to connect to, and I'm having a good time. I think it's really fun so far. Really well written, fast-paced, enjoyable, and I'm actually invested in the romance as well, which is rare for a YA book for me. All right, y'all. I don't know what this piece of hair is doing. Has this been out the entire time? I should probably like check the viewfinder before I just start yapping at you, because sometimes I watch these videos back and I'm like, this all could have been prevented if you just like looked at yourself before you started filming. Whatever, we're all besties here. All right, but that's my update as of now. I'm going to go take my bad mood back to the couch, read a little bit more, and update you probably tomorrow at this point, because I think this is the max of talking that I'm gonna do for the day. I think this about concludes the amount of energy I have for speaking. So I will update you probably tomorrow when I have an update. Bye. Hello, we are back with I think the final update for this vlog, which is exciting. I finished Today Tonight Tomorrow, and it was really good. I honestly really enjoyed it. My camera is blinking E62. Do I want to know what that means? What's wrong with this? Hold on. That scares me. Why is it yelling at me? E62. Internal memory. Hold on. All right, well, I just shut the camera off and turned it back on, and it's no longer telling me that there's an error. So I don't think I fixed it. but I ignored it. So it's gone. It's fine. I finished Today, Tonight, Tomorrow. I thoroughly enjoyed this book more than I even thought I would. It was really, really good. I don't feel like it's a book that I'll think about forever, and I feel like it was still, I mean, it's still YA. It's still young and kind of fluffy and fun. There's little to no spice. Obviously, it's a YA book. It did get a little friskier than I thought it would, being YA, and I was like, okay, pop off, queen, like, you get it. But it did get a little spicier than I thought, but definitely not like a spicy book. The romance overall was just really sweet. I have the second book in the series, Past, Present, Future. I have it on my shelf, and I actually downloaded the audiobook from the library. It's like a 10-hour audiobook, and so I listen on 2 times speed, so like 5 hours. I might just like crank that out this month, so subscribe and stay tuned for my wrap up if you want to figure out if I read that or not. I don't know yet. I'm considering, but anyways, I digress. I didn't annotate this book physically because if you know me, you know I annotate books that I know are going to be 5 stars. This was not a 5-star. Spoiler alert, this was a 4-star read for me. But I did take pictures of some of my favorite quotes, so I'm going to read some of them to you. I think my favorite part of this book is that it was so bookish. Like, it was so romance reader coded. It was super duper sweet. Like, just this little simple quote of like, my favorite books got happily ever afters. Why couldn't I? It's just like, I don't know. Oh, and there's another one. Neil, the male main character in this book, says, there's this word in Japanese. I'm not even going to try to say it. Tsundoku. Yeah, I'm not even going to try. There's this word in Japanese, Neil says. It's my favorite word in any language. What does it mean? He grins. It means acquiring more books than you could ever realistically read. Yes, I like, there's just little tidbits like that where I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. And it's kind of deep too. Like at the very beginning, I took a picture of this quote. It's like, I think in the first chapter, and it says, maybe that's the definition of nostalgia, getting sappy about things that are supposed to be insignificant, because she's getting ready for her last day of high school. And she's like, this is the last time I'm going to wing my eyeliner. Like things that are so insignificant in your daily life that you just do normally until it's the last time you're doing it and you're like, oh my gosh, like that's actually really gonna make me cry right now, and I'm just doing my makeup. You know what I mean? This part was so cute and relatable. It says, I've given this boy the messiest parts of me and he's done nothing but convince me he'll be careful with them. My heart, being able to be vulnerable with someone and they're like, safe? I don't know, I just love it. And this one, final quote that I'll read you. It says, sometimes I get this strange feeling, an ache, not for something I miss, but for something I've never known. Yeah, do you ever like get this feeling and you're like, I'm craving something that I've never had before? Like almost like I'm nostalgic or like missing something, but I've never had it. I don't know if that makes sense. I've never like seen that put into words, and I was like, wait, yeah. So all in all, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Like I said, 4-star rating. So I would highly recommend reading this. I would say this is one of my favorite YA books that I think I've ever read. This and Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Lynn Painter can do some YA, but this was really good. Good enough that I want to continue the series and read the second book. So very excited about that. We had some winners in this one. Definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone. This is, I think, the 3rd or 4th YA book that I've ever read in my entire life. So definitely not a typical genre choice for me. Extreme Ownership was far from a typical book that I would pick up, but I'm glad I read it. I feel like there were really great messages about like leadership and accountability and just being a human, interacting with humans. So glad I read this one too. And then the Heartstopper books. I've never read a graphic novel in my adult life. Like I said, I used to read them as a kid, never in my adult life, but I actually really enjoyed these. The first one I gave 4 stars, second one I gave 3 stars. I enjoyed it just a little bit less, but I still thought they were really cute, and it was nice to read something just kind of fast like that. I don't know, I didn't think I would be able to get into like the graphic novel as an adult, but I actually really like the format. And the amount of talent that goes into graphic novels, like drawing all the pictures and writing the story, it's incredible. All right, that concludes this vlog. This was a week of reading books outside of my comfort zone. I'm glad I pushed myself, and I'm excited to continue reading books a little outside of my comfort zone. My next vlog is actually not specifically related to that, but I am going to be reading quite a few books that are making me feel a little bit nervous. So make sure you're subscribed here so you don't miss any future vlogs that are coming out. Follow me on all the things. I'm super active on TikTok and Instagram, so those are always linked down below, as well as my Patreon if you want to join my book club and all the other stuff. You can always find that down there. But that is all for today's video. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, book besties.